All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. And today on office hours, we're going to focus on the the version 1.0.2 upgrade that we had last week. And so I just wanted to start out with the WFDSS homepage and show folks where you can find those release notes. And I also wanted to bring your attention to this box that we've just added. Just as a reminder, let's see, on June 10th, WFDSS Classic was fully taken offline, so there's no more ability to create practice incidents within WFDSS Classic training to use in EDU. So it's definitely a high priority issue that we're working on. And there are some workarounds. But we can help work through that, or you can reach out to your local dispatch. And so the thing is, if a new incident has to be created in some other system that writes to Irwin OAT next. And I think dispatch folks will be able to help you out with that, with what that means. But right now you can create an incident point, but in WFDSS EDU, you cannot actually link that to a decision. So you can't start a decision on it. You'll just have a point. So here we are on the WFDSS home. And under what's new, we have this section called releases. And in releases, you'll find the release notes for all of our releases. So 1.0 was our first major release. Then you'll see the series of numbers behind it. When we have like 1.0.2, it's a smaller release, and then we're looking towards, when we have major functionality, it'll be like a 1.1 release. We're working towards getting on a schedule for releases so folks can be prepared and know that, every 4th week or every 6th week or something like that, we'll have a release, and try and plan your work around that. That's not always optimal, but so far it doesn't seem like the releases, they have been occurring early in the morning, early-ish in the morning, like 7 to 9 or 10 Mountain. And that we haven't really seen the system take a big hit on that. So if folks are seeing kind of system latency, or the system's just unavailable, let us know and we'll see if that's expected. So here we have all the release notes, and we can thank Morgan for organizing these for us. And so this is just what we're getting out of our other system. And so they're broken down into fixes and features and improvements. And then within each of those, we have like sections. And this is how our developers work on them, is under these headings. So you can find out more about the things that we've got. I took this list and I kind of peeled it down into some things just to let folks, like some highlights, I guess, that are important to you. And so we can go ahead and get started on that. And this will be pretty short. If folks have other questions, we can get to those as soon as we go through the release notes. And so I'm going to start. I'm going to start in EDU. Let me pull up my notes. I guess some of the big ones that should hopefully make folks happy across the board, it's making us happy, is that now bulleted lists are supported, and the HTML formatted text most HTML formatted text is reading correctly without the tags. So that includes spatial fire planning language, in both Appendix A as well as where it's associated with the strategic assessment or strategic course of action. And I think I have, let me pull up a decision and we can look at it really quickly, I think. Maybe we'll come back to that because I'm not sure I have one that's set up. Oh no, this one is. All right, bringing it over. So this is Alexander Mountain. This is just something that I had in training, published at the beginning of the month. And you can see I only selected a couple of the categories. So I only checked ready for publication on a few of them because this is just a test that I was testing the information. And so I put in bulleted lists and numbered lists. And then here you can see, believe this is the unit fire planning language. So no HTML text is coming in with that. So it looks great. And then if you see the Appendix A, it looks really nice and it even has bulleted lists within here. So if you had seen the HTML language before, it was really distracting and hard to read, if not impossible. So this will help folks get better, more clear information going forward. But the bulleted lists, that was something that was holding a lot of us up. And we're actually re-enabling the bulleted tool. So we will have that available for folks. Not in this release, but right now you can actually just add a bulleted list by copying and pasting one, or by using, I think it's the hyphen and a space, and it'll automatically make it into a bulleted list. So that was a big one. Another big one is that we've taken away the requirement that is in terms of strategic assessment. We don't necessarily, let me go into an incident. Go into Alexander Mountain just so we can look at it. If we go to strategy here. So when we rolled out 1.0, it was a requirement that every decision needed to have one strategic assessment, and that at least one of the strategic assessments had to have a protection objective. And we got feedback from other agencies, or just other units that said that doesn't really work for me, or my agency. We're fine with one strategic assessment, but can we have it not? So it still defaults to a protection objective, but you can select and save with any. So I believe down here, if you look at what I have, if I go in here and I look at this northern water, and it's my only protection objective. And if I turn it off, don't include it in the decision and save it, I'll still be able to mark it ready for publication. So that was a big one. Two other things that we have that are very decision related is that when a fire is called out, our decision content is going to be read only. So folks can come in and look at any of the information in the incident decision, go through the tabs. You just won't be able to edit anything. You actually will still be able to, where there are the download CSVs. So a strategic action has one, I know. So if you wanted to download this table, you still could do that after the incident's out. One caveat to that is that we will have the ability to still create analyses, and that's it's kind of an edge case. It's not something that we recommend, but we do understand that sometimes analyses after the fire's out are important for any number of things. So that's going to still be available. And we've also made it so that any non-collaborating editor, so if you have an editor role, but you are not assigned as a collaborator, or you don't have the collaborator privilege on an incident, you can still go through all the same things that you could do if it was out. So you can go through and read things and download things, but you cannot edit any decision content. So all of that, it would basically be read only for those non-collaborating editors too. So, but that gives folks the ability to find the POC and reach out to them to get collaborating editor privileges here. And the same goes for approvers. So those are the 4 big ones that we had for decision. If we look at the map, I'm just going to turn off this analysis stuff because it's a lot. We've made a couple smaller changes just kind of in terms of the character limit for the feature name. We've got that limited to 100 now, which is super, super long. But we also have the ability we were having some functionality issues with uploading zip files if there was a period in the zip file name. We still can't upload zip files of shapefiles if there are periods in the shapefile name, excluding like before the suffix or the file type. So only one period, and that's where it goes. Otherwise, they're going to fail. And we are working on that too, trying to figure out how to fix that. But if you had, when Classic was still up, if you had named your ignition file perhaps with a period in it as the file name, it would download as a shapefile with that period still in the name and then cause problems. So I think the dev team is working on automating some replacements to make those still work. There are a bunch of general things. So in terms of your user profile, if we look at your user profile, you'll see that we've added this system access renewal date. And that is for you, for us, for anybody who goes in and looks at your own system access renewal date, it'll be today's date plus 330 days. And that just is to keep track of what the FAMOF 330 days security restriction is. After 330 days of inactivity in FAMOF or within FAMOF to each application instance, FAMOF removes your application access. It's a FAMOF thing, but what we're doing here is tracking so we can see, perhaps not for me, because I know that every time I go in, I create a record for today. So it's always going to be 330 days plus, or today plus 330 days. But if I wanted to look at someone else's, this is coming, it's not here yet. I could go in and look at their date and see, say I wanted to add somebody as an approver, and they were having issues getting in, I could go in here and look and say, oh, well, it's past their system access renewal date, which means that FAMOF probably has taken away their system access, and they need to work with their GAE to get that reinstated. Here on my home, we have some updated, there we go. Some of these links have been updated to go along with the new 2025 data sources. Some 508 compliance has been worked on. We've added some more field level help, updated some microservices, reworded warning messages to be more clear. Let's see. And then a lot of the other ones a lot of the other updates that are included in this release have to do with analysis. So I'm going to just jump back there. Oops. We'll go back to Alexander Mountain. So in Alexander Mountain, in an analysis, and so I have a support role, which means that I am an implicit collaborator. I don't have to be the POC on an incident, and I don't have to be a collaborator to create an analysis on any incident in the country. But I'm pretty sure I am the POC on this. So it would be the same if you were an editor and came in as the POC on the incident. I'm going to go to analysis, and I'm going to start a new FS Pro analysis. So anyone with the analyst, GAE, or support role can create an analysis and add a note. I'm not going to add a note here. I just want to get in there so that we can look at some of the other things that are in here. I think one of the big things is in terms of ERC classes and weather, we're only allowing folks to pull the ERC classes for fuel model Y, primarily because the ERC stream is only reported in Y, and it's really not advisable to not have those streams matched. So until we can work with FEMS and get away sometime in the future to be able to differentiate ERC streams in fuel models other than Y, we put this in place where this is the only selectable option to help folks stay on track with that. Let's see, go to landscape. So we've got a couple things here on the landscape, some edits to the rules. We found that we had some rules that were limited to only dividing instead of multiplying. So we fixed those, like crown bulk density now allows you to multiply instead of just divide. And then we also have in landscape details, let's see, I have an extent. Once I create a landscape, probably could have done this on one I had, we have the ability to download that LCP as a TIFF. And that button comes right here. And then there was, you'll notice, I think it's, I don't know if we made release notes for this. Yes, so this release, this was a hotfix release, and I was not here for this release. So this was a micro release, really, just to update the Landfire Product Service version 2. And so Landfire Product Service version 2 completely replaced Landfire Product Service version 1. And so there were some things on our connection that had to be immediately updated to be able to use that. And from what I understand, folks jumped right in and got that done. So I don't know how much of an interruption that was, but hopefully not too long. We can see my landscape still running. So that is what I have, like some of the big major things that I can show you. But I can start telling you while we're waiting for this to come through what we're working on next. Really focusing on getting a lot of the 2025 data layers incorporated. So like the Alaska SDI and PCL for 2025, the newest disturbance history, critical habitat, looking at smoke. We also have folks working on incorporating the FMS F2, so Fire Modeling Services Framework version 2 is it's out right now, so they are running 2 concurrent versions alongside each other, and you know we are strongly encouraged to get over so that they can archive version 1, but there's going to be some advantages to version 2 in terms of little to no spool up time. So right now, spool up time could be 20 minutes plus if no analysis has been started on any of the machines in the last hour. So, in a slower time, that's adding a considerable amount of time to your analysis run. So that's going to be like down to like 3 to 5 minutes of spool up time, which is really going to be great. There's obviously some other improvements, and maybe Rick can jump on and talk about those if he wants to, or anyone. It's going to be great. We're also looking at getting the timestamps updated. If you do FS Pro, you'll see that the create time is actually the time that you created the analysis, and we kind of are looking at trying to also capture the time that the analysis was submitted to FMSF and then the time that it came back completed from FMSF, just to give us an idea and to know which ones are which. Looking at saving in FS Pro, looking at adding extent screening tools for the ModFIS and Landfire 2024. If you've seen either of those data sets, you know, Landfire 2024 isn't fully released yet. It's being released by sections of the US. And so it would be great if we could allow folks to use those, what is released now when it's applicable. But we do get an error, or your analysis will fail at the FMSF if it comes back with a fuel model 0. So we want to stop analyses from failing at FMSF because we can't rerun them. You have to start from scratch. So if we can put anything in place ahead of that, that'll say screen out and let you know that you might run into an error. That's how we're trying to help folks out. Also looking at climatology graphs for the RAWs. Some of those are big things. So we, like the first screen of Farsight has been pushed through the system. So we're starting to get an idea of what the UI is going to look like for Farsight. But it's still going to be a little bit before we're able to get that model actually running. Here, let's see, it came back. So here now we have the create button next to the download landscape button. And so we can download that as a zip, and it's got the name of my analysis. So if I had changed the name of my analysis, it would have been, that's what would have come out here. So easy to keep track of, and then folks can use that in another program if they want to, you know, just pull it into ARC and look at it, or if you want to use that LCP in a desktop fire modeling application. I guess a couple other big things. And so this was released last Wednesday and Thursday, right? Yeah, the 12th. And so what we're looking at, hopefully, is getting into a schedule of releases, like we talked about, kind of in line with the way that we work on things in sprints. And so we're not quite there yet. So we're looking at the next release, possibly the week of the July 8th, but more likely the week of July 14th. And some of the things that I just talked about, including the automated required decision elements. So I'm just going to show you what I'm talking about. So here in the decision elements, if we look at the decision approval and assessment, the required decision elements section, right now, it requires the user to manually click these. And anywhere that the ready for publication toggle isn't toggled on is not going to print in the decision. And so folks are running into some issues where they are not getting things in their decision and can't figure it out. Because they've clicked this, they're not linked. So we do have this, it's going to be automated where as soon as that ready for publication toggle is turned on, this will click on. And when it's toggled off, it'll click off. And we also have a column for last update, and that's going to show the last time that section was saved, even if it hasn't been toggled on or toggled off. So really helpful. And then also there's URLs. So this will take me back to, if I wanted to go to the course of action, it'll take me straight to the course of action. And then I can use my back button to get back to the required decision elements. So very user-friendly, and this will definitely help folks. Like if this isn't, if you can't figure out why this didn't check, you can go right back to that section and figure out why it's not turned on. And so I think that's it for that. One other thing I wanted to put on everybody's radar is that there was supposed to be a FEMS update this week, I think, and then it's been postponed until next week. So the 24th it's FEMS version 3.2. And they expect to do that release at 9 a.m. Eastern. So there could be some downtime for folks trying to run an analysis because we depend on that as a dependent service. Okay, I haven't been watching the chat, so I probably missed something. HTML tags, Jonah covered that. Is there any questions about what we went over, or anything else that you guys have noticed, or we can just jump into regular question and answer? Yeah, go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, good afternoon. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay. I just had a question. It's been a while since I've sat in on this. So just about, I don't know, just over a month ago, we had an issue where the analysis was showing as checked in, ready for publication, but it was preventing us from publishing, even when the check mark was made on the decision elements to include in the decision. Has that been fixed? So we just left analysis out because we just couldn't publish. Has that been fixed or?
So yep, you can either check this do not include any analysis or not check it, but still fill in this section. I think what maybe you ran into at one point we had where only analysis analysts and above could fill out this section. Like that was in our very first release, and we caught that really quickly. That was a problem. Excuse me. So yes. So now anyone who's a collaborator, editor and above can fill out this section. So this is the summary. And also check this box. They can read it, they can edit it, and they can also do this ready for publication.
So as long as that check mark, like if they want it, if the AA wants it included in the decision, the analyst wrote it up and it was great, but when it was included in the decision or not included, it was like, and ready for publication was turned on, it wouldn't go over. So as long as those boxes are good and it's ready for publication, it'll carry over now, as well as what's included in the decision.
Yeah. And so I think part of it is also, I'm not sure that the actual summary will come in. Does anybody else? I don't think that we're able to pull that analysis summary in yet to the actual decision.
Okay, copy. Yeah, it was preventing it from publishing anything. So
yeah, so it'll let you publish, but it I'm not sure that we are populating this, even though that's what we're working towards, because this is a big section, and we're also working towards a similar text area. So this is the analysis summary, but we're also working towards a weather summary and a firefighter safety summary. You know, here on this fire area tab, we're actually looking at a little redesign on this tab, but a text box here to really discuss the things that are related to firefighter safety, and also, yes, then have that publish in the PDF, and the same with weather. So those are pretty high priority on the list. While I'm here, I'm just gonna point this out to folks because we have run into this a couple times. If you draw a new planning area, other than, you know, what the initial planning area is, the spatial inventory should be generated every time you have a new current planning area. And we're hoping to have this be actually checked here on this decision assessment. Let me see. I think I have nope. I thought I had the development one open, but where it'll have here on the date and time, you can match up these dates and times of when that planning area was created in the spatial inventory here to see if they are in step, as well as, you know, you can look here on the fire area tab. So here you can see that initial planning area, this is when the decision was started, is when that initial planning area was created. But we can see that there's a spatial inventory that was created 2 months later, so 2 days ago. So, and that's going to affect the what's available for strategic assessment and strategic course of action. So it's really important to make sure that this is working, that this spatial inventory has been run against your most current planning area. That'll also control what shows up in your Appendix A in terms of strategic fire planning or language, or spatial fire planning language, among other things. So I went off on your question, but I think
Great.
you are right. It still doesn't print.
No worries. Thank you. Appreciate your work.
Uh-huh. What else? How is it possible? It shouldn't be. And so Mark wrote in the chat, how is it possible to publish a decision without doing anything in the strategy tabs? And it won't be, and it shouldn't be. And it's just because, so here I have all this information. So I have my strategy all filled out. So I have strategic assessments. I have 2, but if I mark it unready for publication, it won't print to the PDF. And so that's something that's going to be solved by that, the automatic validation that I talked about on the decision approval tab. Because what folks are doing now, I'll check it. So when folks have to automatically, or when they have to manually check this and people just go check, they're not checking it back against each of the sections to make sure that they're actually in line. So if I check it here, it's only to give me this ready for approval button. And that's why we're going to have the validation. So the validation is actually going to go look at every tab and make sure that it's marked ready for publication. So, I mean, I could have every tag, every toggle for ready for publication turned off. But if I clicked everything on here, it would still let me send it. It would let me publish it and print it. It would just only have the thing in it. And that's how, for us testing, it's actually nice because I don't have to put in a whole decision, but that's why I only have 3, I only selected 3 things here: the rationale, the summary, and the assessment, as ready for publication. So I didn't have anything else marked, but that was just so I could test the bulleted lists and the HTML. So great for testing, but once we get this, this automation complete, which I think I just have to test it again today, but it'll be pretty soon and maybe in this next release. So I think this is really going to help folks not have incomplete decisions. And we have heard of that. So I guess, and another thing is that validating that the spatial inventory matches the current planning area. That's still going to be on users for a little bit longer, but we are looking at that validation. What else do we have? Anybody else got anything? Special requests? Anybody from the WFDSS team?
Well, you've got one in the chat there from Richard.
Oh.
Okay.
Ugh.
This one. So Richard, you actually can click those tabs. What you're seeing is something that happens, especially if you zoom in or out on your browser. Sometimes when you change the window size. If you look in that 3-bar menu that Sarah is showing in the upper right corner, all of your tabs pop into there. And if you send your browser back to full screen or zoom back out, you should see them all displayed across the top again. So that's just a way to not lose menus if you're dealing with less screen real estate for some browsers. So you should be able to use Edge or Chrome equally well on the application. The only browser-specific issue that we've seen so far is that if you're on a Macintosh and using the Safari browser, it will interfere with generating an FS Pro run. So just for analysts on Macintoshes. Chrome browser on a Macintosh seems to work fine.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. So it looks like for me, if I go more than 110 for my zoom, it takes it away. So it's added it all over here. But if I zoom back out to 110 or 100, I've got my home banner exactly where I want it. Super weird. So I hold down the control and I use my scroll button.
Control plus minus will do the same thing too. Yeah.
There you go. I do have a humonga big monitor, so. Anything else? Rick, you want to jump in and chat about something? Oh, Firefox.
Oh, Mark, if you have a chance, could you reach out to me and so we could take a look at that?
Yeah, sure. I actually had to call somebody about that for the class for 495 and then just re-verified it the other day. I'm actually in WFDSS training, just going through some, and it's the same problem. I end up having to go into Chrome. Do you want me to call you right after this? What time would you like me to call you? Are you going to be at the spatial fire planning call, Rick, or?
I was planning on going to the spatial fire planning office hours, but I'd be happy to be a little bit late for that if you could call me right after you get off of here.
Yeah, I'll just set you up on Teams right afterwards.
Or we could just do it together right now. I can give you the screen if you'd like. If no one else has anything to go over, we can use this time.
You have to wait for me to. Let me set something up here really quick because I'm not actually in the system right now.
All right, no rush. I wasn't.
If that's okay.
Yeah. We like actionable things to look at. It's more fun than me talking and pointing. Is there anything else, Rick, that you can think of for Fire Modeling Services Framework V2 that might be exciting for folks to know about?
Let's see. I'm hoping actually it is supremely unexciting in that it just goes smoothly and folks don't even notice the difference. That is how it should work. It's a little
faster. Yeah.
The one thing that people will really notice is that if you're an analyst, if you're looking at an FS Pro run, it will show all of your ERCs as whole numbers instead of decimals. FEMS will give us ERC out to one decimal place, but the Fire Modeling Services Framework is not able to handle that. So right now there's a kind of a processing cleanup step that happens in between when you submit your run and when it goes to the framework. That step's coming out for version 2, so we're just going to show you the whole number ERCs, and that should be as much as you notice. We have some other improvements coming to how we show the weather tab and some things to hopefully make life easier for folks that are going through and pick a station that has some missing values. But I think we'll have those in an upcoming office hours.
Mhm.
Maybe one thing, Sarah, have you got an FS Pro analysis handy, or just a make one on your incident real quick?
Yeah, I should
Because
have
we
that.
have had a few people ask in the past week or so here. This is one for fire behavior analysts. If you go in and try to pull weather for a station, and you pull an ERC stream, a couple people have asked about what it means when you get that -1 showing up as your ERC for a particular day. And it's something that we'll probably see here. Okay,
Yep.
so you get this red error message at the bottom of your ERC stream that says current ERC stream values before the analysis start date must be greater than or equal to 0. What that means is somewhere in that time period you picked for this 1 year, there are some missing values, and those will show up as -1s. They'll have a red box around it, just like the one you can see there on June 6th. The tricky part is sometimes that's all the way back in January or February, and you have to look through a number of flip through a number of different months in your ERC stream to find all of them. So once you replace the last one, you'll notice that red error message went away as soon as Sarah put in a value there. So that tells us that was the last one that she had missing. If you still have that message, you still have something missing. One thing we found is that for some stations, sometimes FEMS will not have a forecast ERC. If that's the case, then it will show a -1 on your analysis start date as well. And even though the error message says everything before your analysis start date has to be greater than or equal to 0, it actually also includes your analysis start date. So a little bit of a misleading error message there that we're working on. If you do get a weather forecast that shows up but doesn't have any ERC listed, or maybe it's missing the wind or something like that, that has will show a -1 in those boxes, a red box around it. For the forecast values, you'll have to manually update those. Same way you would get weather data, whether it's talking to an incident meteorologist or predictive services, or just looking at your forecast and coming up with some realistic values for that. So there's an example of what the error would look like, and you would have to just get your weather data through whatever channel and replace that with a valid value. Perfect.
I'm just going to delete it and then add it back in. Oops. Nope. I don't know if this will work. Yeah, I think it, nope, that was weird. That's not optimal. Just delete that row. Okay.
So if you what you could do to replace that would be go back up and hit the get forecast days button again. Yeah.
There you go. Anytime you mess up, go back and just start over. So yeah, definitely some fancy things coming here with the station details and generating the wind matrix, some station picker help graphics that are coming, or charts. So yeah, what we found, and Rick said this, but I don't know if everybody caught it. So if I had started this analysis this morning, if this station didn't have a forecasted ERC, this would have come up as -1 and with a red box around it, which was super confusing to all of us, but it's because the station, it's not putting in the forecast. It's only putting in the observed. But since I did it now after the station had pulled, I'm getting information for it. Presumably, there are stations that do work, but not all of them. Any questions about anything? Or does Mark want to give us a demo?
You've got a question from Matt in the chat. Any way to set up the map to not have everything checked? So for that one, Matt, there are two answers. Overall, no. But the good news is if you uncheck some things in the map and then even move to another incident, as long as you are still logged in, every time you come back to that map, it should have the same thing still turned on or off. But once you log out and go and completely log back into the application, right now it's going to default to having all that same stuff still on. So being able to save your map preferences is not something that we have set in here for you yet. Sorry about that. On the plus side, kind of the silver lining is next gen tends to keep you logged in for longer than Classic did. So.
And
Yeah,
we are
thanks, Rick.
discussing, yeah, we're discussing other ways, like perhaps maybe having analysis off until you turn it on might be a good way to clean up the map a little bit.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of time spent making sure that something from a previous analysis isn't showing up that you're looking at and confusing it with your current analysis.
Yeah.
And then, just some feedback from the forests. They're just spending a lot of time turning things off just to get started with an incident. So I just wonder if it would be better if there was a way to start out with nothing and just turn on the stuff you need versus having a bunch of stuff checked that you end up turning off. It's probably sixes, but just some feedback.
Thanks for that. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing. And Mark's gonna show something.
Yeah, Mark, can you share your screen with us?
Let me see here. Let me give it a try.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Okay. All right. We'll see. I had to create a new landscape here because I couldn't figure out there was a way to add my existing. So this is where I've run into the problems in Firefox.
Okay,
I can
so
generally
do me a favor and well, go ahead and walk us through this once, just as is.
Okay. So I'm able to do almost everything. I should be able to generate the ERC classes. It's going to be the stream. So let's see here if it's going to work. So that seemed to add in just fine.
Okay.
I'm not going to adjust anything right now. I'm just going to keep going because this is where I've been running into my problems right here on the ERC stream. So here we go. Oh my God, it worked. Oh no,
well,
here
no,
we go.
It didn't really.
Here we go.
Yeah.
It didn't. Okay.
Okay.
Those first two columns are all negative ones. That's not.
Yeah, which is problematic. Okay, so
yeah, so it did not work. I'm glad that it didn't work because I was gonna be like, I've done this so many times and it hasn't worked. I was like, oh my God, it worked.
Okay, so go back up. Does it have your let's do one thing. Go up to your date filter and we're gonna change it just by a day. So that's not what's causing it or anything, but that will just give us a fresh pull from FEM. So like if you change your start month date to June 2nd, for instance.
June 2nd? Okay.
Yeah. Just anything different.
Do you want me to generate new ERC classes?
Not yet. What I want you to do is, and I'm going to have to fumble around with this because I haven't done it in Firefox for a while. Go to your browser settings. I think it's a 3-bar menu in the upper right.
And go to settings.
We want to, we're looking for how to turn on your developer tools panel.
Okay, developer tools.
Yeah. Try just searching your settings at the top there for console or developer tool.
Do you think this is it? No.
No. You don't want to do that.
Let's go back to this and let's see here. It might be something on.
So try try going back to your window there and try hitting F12 on your keyboard. Usually that's like a default one for Edge and Chrome, so that might actually just take you right into it.
Under more tools. If you go to your hamburger and then more tools.
Okay. Ah, yep.
So is it this one?
Bingo.
This one.
Not the last one. You want
That first one.
I think
Should be
actually you
web
want
developer tools.
Yep.
I'm looking at
and we'll see if
I
that gives us
Googled
one
it. And then your console should be
excellent.
in there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so along the top of that bar that popped up there, there's one that says network, has the up and down arrows. Click that.
Yep. Okay.
Now go back to your WFDSS window.
All right, hold on 1 second here. I got this bar in my way. Here's my WFDSS window.
Okay. So left click on your WFDSS window there.
Left click.
And I think, yeah, you'll have to do that same 3-bar menu thing in your WFDSS window, but
Okay.
just do the same thing. So hit that 3-bar menu, more tools, and web developer tools.
All right.
Okay, and you're already on network. Perfect. Okay, now hit your generate ERC classes button. And it's going to put a bunch of stuff in that window below. So this doesn't actually change anything. This no security thing. This just kind of shows you what's going on under the hood in your browser.
Okay.
Okay. So that one seems to work fine. So go ahead and scroll down a little bit and hit the generate ERC stream.
Here we go.
Okay.
Same errors.
And okay, so down in that window at the bottom in your web developer tools, that second line up from the bottom that says post and has GraphQL next to it, left click on that.
Left click on this.
Okay. Yep. And that shows us some things over on the right here.
Okay.
And I want to look at the, right now it's on headers. I want to go over to request. Okay. And scroll down a bit into that variable section. You know, you can actually take the bar in between your regular browser and the developer tools and drag that up to see a little more space here. And that will help. Okay. Invalid date. That is what is causing us a problem right there. So why is it start 6/2 and 2023? Okay.
Yeah, so I'm doing this for a past fire.
And that should be fine.
That should be fine.
Can do this. So what is happening here is the same thing that happened in the Safari browser on a Macintosh for Chris and Allison ran into this in California. Because your browser is putting together the request that goes to FEMS to pull that weather. Something about how those browsers specifically are putting that request together differently causes it to get jumbled. If we looked at the same thing, so in your web developer tools on the left side, go up 2 lines from there to the other one that says post. And if you left click on that, that'll show us
on this one.
Yes.
And then you want this same
ERC class component 62930. Okay. Yep, that all looks correct. So it's putting that one together correctly. It has the start month day as June 2nd, end month day as September 30th. All good there. It's just the ERC stream one that gets jumbled somehow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's been doing that. It's been doing that for at least a couple of months. So I've had to go into Chrome, which isn't a big deal. I just have that browser open on a different window, and then I run I prefer Firefox, to each their own. But I have to use Chrome for certain tasks, and that's FS Pro and WFDSS is one of those.
Would you do me one last favor on this, Mark?
Okay.
Left click on that lower post message, the one for your ERC stream.
Okay.
And in the request here, if you right click on the top, I think where it says operation name, let's see if it gives you an option to copy all.
Copy all.
Yep. And
All
can
right.
you just throw that in an email to me?
Yep. I can do that here in just a minute.
Perfect. And I'll
Okay.
see if we can do some testing at this. I've got a machine with Firefox I can do some poking at, and we will add this to the known list of problems and see what we can do about it.
Okay. Awesome. Glad I could
Cool.
bring out
Thanks for
another
bringing
bug
this to our
you
attention.
guys.
This
Yeah,
is
thanks.
hey, that's exciting when we find a new one. So much appreciated.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Right.
you.
Thanks, Mark.
Awesome. All right. If there's no more go backs, I know spatial fire planning's office hours start in about 3 minutes. So if anybody wants to jump over there, it looks like Wes just started that meeting. So, yeah, and we'll see everybody in 2 weeks. Thanks for sticking on.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks.